Hi everyone, this is Dami Pelez and I'm with ABA Exam Academy. We are going to be going over implementation, management, and supervision. The disclaimer is ABA Exam Academy is a group of individuals working together to help others ace the test. These meetings are meant to have active discussions to collaborate, ask questions, and provide helpful suggestions to better understand the BACB 4th edition task list concepts. Due to this, it is important to know that all viewers and participants are responsible to verify the accuracy of the information being provided in order to successfully prepare for the BCBA, BCABA exam. So some ethical considerations we have are to refrain from sharing any BCBA, BCABA test questions, refrain from sharing any paid resources or specific identifiable client information, and if you are sharing any open resources, peer-reviewed articles, or books, just make sure to give credit to the author. All right, so in my agenda today, I'm going to be going over carrying out behavior change, which is section K2, competency-based training, which is section K3, performance monitoring, K4, and treatment integrity, K5. I worked so hard on the content that I was able to do some true and false questions, but unfortunately I did not get to mock questions. But I did spend a lot of time focusing on that content because this section involves supervision and it is all of section K, but it also involves ethics. So I wanted to make sure that we get everything clear and to the point. And then I will end with questions if you guys have any. All right, my basic reference for today was Cooper, 2nd edition. So if you guys want to open your books, you can go ahead. I have page numbers for whoever has them or would like to take a look at any of the information while I'm going over everything. All right, so with that, the first section is K2. It is carrying out behavior change. What should a BCBA do when preparing to implement the intervention? So for that, I have number 1, you always want to find out who will be implementing the intervention. For number 2, we have find out each of their strengths and weaknesses. So that means find out who the team is, and then for each of those individuals, we're going to find out what their strengths and weaknesses are. So who here can tell me who would be considered the people implementing the intervention? Anyone?
The RBTs, BCABAs, BCBAs.
Okay, BCABA, RBT, who else?
Teachers,
Parents,
family members.
guardians.
So I heard parents, caregivers, and the list goes on. So it's there's a lot. So like you guys said, RBTs, BCABAs, parents, teachers, caregivers, stakeholders, whoever it is. It's just anybody that's part of that relationship that benefits from the information from the treatment plan, anything into that perspective. All right, with that we have, how can a BCBA plan to set up the accuracy of implementation? Does anybody have an idea?
By taking data?
Okay.
Graph?
This is a very open-ended question. So yeah, it has a lot of choices, but I just wanted to focus on K2. But yes.
By conducting training, some kind of training?
Yes. Perfect. So I put, so in the specifics, like we talked about, it can be lots of situations, but if I wanted to teach my team, let's say I have an RBT, a BCABA under me, and I want to teach them how to collect accurate data, then I would teach them to keep their data sheet within close proximity. Okay? I have had several situations where I've had to train RBTs because they get used to doing their data at the end of the session. And I want to make sure I get accurate data, so I tell them, even if you have to fold your data sheet, put it in your pocket, have it on a clipboard, whatever it is you need to do, but you need to have it within close proximity so you can get the accurate data immediately. It can't be done at the end of the session. So it really depends on what the BCBA wants to get done. But in this situation, that is a good way to implement that. So it's just setting it up, whatever you want to get across. Does anybody want to ask any questions about that, or is it confusing?
No, I think it was clear.
Okay. All right, so what should a BCBA give their staff to better implement the intervention? So this is specifically what you want to give them.
The tools that they need to
Okay, perfect.
track their data and
Perfect. Tools.
Yeah.
Anything else? I have two more. I think you said one, Rita, before.
Training.
Training.
Yeah, training.
training and also reinforcements, you need to praise their work.
Perfect. Training.
Feedback.
Yeah,
Feedback, yes, I was trying to do that. Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome.
Tools. So giving them a timer if they need it, a clicker if they need it, data sheets. If they only have one data sheet, then maybe it's time to make some copies and give them more data sheets. So just have all of that ready. All right, first question. A stakeholder is anyone that has a relationship or interest with the client that can implement or benefit from the information being provided in the treatment plan. True or false?
True.
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 All right. True. Perfect. A stakeholder can be a parent, older sibling, teacher, principal, etc. So I've had many times where I've had to explain this to people because they think that a stakeholder is just a parent or just a caregiver. And no, it's anyone that's in relationship to that, or even someone that does not implement but also could benefit from the information. So someone like an OT or a speech therapist, if they have difficulty in their session and they could benefit from the information that we are giving them so that they can better their session, then they are a stakeholder too, as long as they're grabbing information from our treatment. Is that clear?
Clear.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. All right, next we're going to section K3. It is competency-based training. So how do you know that a trainee is competent? Okay, the trainee would demonstrate mastery of certain skills needed for the particular client in need of services. So with that, what is a competency-based training? What is that? Just tell me in your own words.
It's a training that's offered to a trainee, teaching them steps. It entails steps on how to, basically teach them how to become competent in doing the job.
Perfect. And the key word was steps. Good job, Rita.
Thank you.
The main word there is steps. It's important because there's lots of steps involved in this. So it's a series of steps used to train supervisees to master certain skills that will make them competent. Perfect. You said it in a nutshell. Perfect. Good job. All right. Why do we need to follow a protocol when we are providing feedback? Anyone?
To be conceptually systematic, or?
Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that? Like just break it down, make it in simpler terms.
Well, because we want to be giving feedback on the areas that they need improvement or.
And what happens when we do that? When we teach them to improve, what happens to our client?
The betterment for the client,
Right.
there will be improvement for the client.
Right, perfect. So then when we teach them and they improve, our client improves as well.
Yeah, so it has a direct relations.
Yes, it is a relationship and there is improvement and then you're going to have better results. It's a whole combination. It's like a domino effect.
Yeah.
All right, so we have, for the first one is effective results. And then I have using the protocol will increase the probability that the supervisee will benefit. And then it is an ethical situation. It says the ethics code protects supervisees, but most important, our clients. If we have competent individuals working with our clients, then we will have an effective intervention with results, quality services. All right? Everyone understand?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, true, false. Jenny is a newly certified BCBA that is competent with children ages 3 to 10 years old and with minimal problem behaviors, non-dangerous. Jenny is considered competent to work with a new client that is a 6-year-old and engages in pica and elopement. True or false?
False.
False.
Anyone else?
False.
False.
False. Tell me why.
Because,
Dangerous. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's okay. I was going to say the same thing because her experience is based on non-dangerous behaviors, minimal problems. And this pica, like, she said, is a big thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you're not competent in an area, you cannot work. If you're going to work, then you have to get supervision and probably consultation from somebody that is proficient in that area.
Right.
Okay, good. So, Vanessa,
Yes, ma'am.
what is she competent with here? Because there's something that's true and there's something that's false, right?
So she is within her competency to work with a 6-year-old child, but
Mhm.
she's not within, she's not competent in working with these particular types of behaviors. So she would either need to get more training and get herself to that level of competency, or refer the patient to someone who is.
That was perfect. Thank you so much for that explanation. Good job, guys. You guys worked very well together. Nice.
We should all sit together at the exam.
I'm telling you, we will all
Yeah.
pass for
I
sure.
hope so.
Wednesday, when we're balling out of control, we will meet.
Open book in the exam.
for the conventions that we go to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's my biggest goal right now, that when I pass, I want to be able to meet all of you guys in person.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to come to Miami.
Or Texas.
Yep. All right. So yes,
Jamie,
the
you can
answer.
start with me.
Hi, Trisha. The answer is false. So she is competent with the age, but she is not competent with dangerous behaviors like pica, elopement, and SIB. Perfect. All right. So here we're going to go through the steps. Remember, we talked about competency-based training. So
Yes.
I broke down all the steps. Does anyone know those steps? If not, I would just show them to you and go through them real quick.
Show them.
Show us.
You guys, okay, perfect. Let's just go through it. All right, so first we're gonna give a rationale for the target skills that need training. Okay, what does rationale mean?
The reasoning behind
Reasoning.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna give a reason to why those target skills are important, okay? All right, then we're gonna create a written description of the target skills. Tell me why written is important. Does anyone know?
Because
can
if
refer
written
back
down, it's clearly broken down, through topography and everything.
Okay, so if
And also it can be replicated. So that's, I mean,
I think you're getting to what I want.
Yeah.
So what's the
Textile.
difference between something that's vocal or written? What can we benefit from something that's written?
You can refer back to it.
There you go. Perfect. Okay, so we can refer back to it. So if the BCBA gives you something and says, and she explains it, but you didn't understand anything she said, and then you said, okay, let me just take a copy and read it over, and you read it a few times, and then you're like, okay, now I understand better. So you're referring back to it, reading it a couple times until you understand, and then maybe later on you can ask some questions or whatever it is.
Right.
I know that with newly certified RBTs, sometimes they have difficulty understanding our verbiage, our language. I went through it, so I remember all of that, and now I tell myself, wow, I've come a long way.
Mhm.
All right, so then after you give a written description, then you give a vocal description of the target skills. And then you model. So model each target skill to the supervisee. Why is it important to model? What do they do? What do they get from that?
It's easier to see, actually.
So visual learners learn like that, right?
Right. And exactly. And it helps to, for the next step, which is the rehearsal stage.
Right. And then modeling is like acting things out. So you can show them exactly how you want it to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're gonna require, this is a requirement to practice each target skill. So you're gonna have them repeat it while you're supervising them. And then you're gonna have them just practice it on their own. And then again, practice in front of you until they get it. And then you're gonna repeat the above steps until everything is mastered. So let's say they've practiced it several times, but you still feel that they're not mastering it. You're gonna go back to modeling it. Or maybe you think, let's go over the printout of the written description. Let's read it out together. Let's go over, let's see if they have any questions. You're just gonna go back until they master all of these skills. And then what's the last step? Do you guys know?
Watch them perform it.
Mm-hmm. So that would be what? So when we work with our clients, what is the last step? Don't think about supervision. Think about our clients. What is the last step to termination?
Independence, generalization.
Generalization. Perfect. So that's the same for them. Apply generalization of skills. Okay? So when we work with supervisees, we have to think about them the same way we think about our own clients. Exactly the same way. We're going to end with generalization. Does everyone understand, or do you have any questions?
No, I think you explained it pretty good, and you wrote pretty good.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Another question. A competency-based training is complete after the supervisee practices the skill often. True or false?
False.
False.
True, false. One more.
Because we don't know if it's mastered or not.
Sorry.
Okay. And does it say there anything about that they've generalized it?
No.
No, so that's the
And
reason.
that's the last step, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so false. Competency-based training is complete when the target skills are being generalized.
I said mastered, so.
Yeah.
Can we talk about, I'm sorry, I'm having a rough day. What does that look like?
Okay, so I think that that's a little different from mastering because, for example, so generalization, basically what you want them to do is make sure you're teaching them across settings. So having them go out to a school, maybe you're going to have them work with a client at a school, and then you're teaching them to collect data, like I said, working on collecting accurate data. And then you observe them in a school, but they don't have their data sheet close to them, like within close proximity, then they haven't mastered it. They haven't generalized that. Maybe they do it at home because they know the mom is watching them all the time. But in the school, they don't do that because maybe the teacher's not able to watch them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So they're not generalizing it in the settings across the subjects. So generalization is definitely the last step.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, Vanessa?
Yeah. Okay, I get that now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's just generalization across subjects, think about multiple baseline. It's across subjects, across settings, across behaviors, across everything. Yeah.
So it's basically being able to apply what you've taught them consistently throughout everywhere they go and every child that they work with.
Exactly. Right. And every client is different, but if I'm teaching them that simple skill of having their data sheet within close proximity, they can generalize that across all clients. That's something that's very simple, very general. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so with performance monitoring, this is section K4, is page 108 to 110 on Cooper. It says, what is performance monitoring? Performance monitoring is providing supervisees with positive reinforcement for effective performance. All right, so in order to generalize performance monitoring, you must promote what? What should you promote? This is a difficult question.
In order to generalize performance monitoring, you must promote positive,
You got it. What is
uh,
it?
positive environment, I guess. I don't know. Positive.
So
Okay.
you're on the right track.
Mhm.
But I was getting to positive reinforcement. But
Mhm.
first, we're going to do self-management. Okay? Self-monitoring, self-management. You're teaching them how to do that. Why? Why are you teaching them how to do that? Remember, we talked about generalizing. Okay? When you're not around, you want them to continue to have those skills, even though you're not watching them.
Mhm.
Okay? Because if there's an inaccuracy in data, then you know that they're not having that self-management skill that you need them to have. So they haven't generalized that. They haven't mastered the skill. Okay?
Mhm.
All right. So in order to reduce continuous supervision, what can be done?
To shift stimulus control to the supervisees, I guess.
Or self checklist. Okay.
It's very
Mhm.
simple. It's just create a checklist and promote self-management and give tons of,
Positive reinforcement.
yeah. So the more we give positive reinforcement, even let's say a client, a supervisee, out of 10 things that you've seen, 7 out of the 10 are inappropriate. And then there's 3 that they've mastered, that you see that they're competent with. Well, then you know what? Give them lots of positive reinforcement for those 3. And then teach them and give them feedback for the other 7. And then for the other 7, then you have to create a checklist, promote self-management, and all of that. But meanwhile, you're working on those 3 that they have mastered and say, oh, I love how you give parent training. That's so great. I love that you're so good with parents. You know, just focus on what they're good at. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know that positive reinforcement does what?
Increases the future frequency of that behavior under similar conditions.
Perfect. There you go. All right. So how to provide effective feedback. So these are the steps. Let's just go through them really quickly. Give a positive statement. So why did I put that sandwich in the corner? Does anyone know? It's funny because the other day I talked to my husband and I told him, when you talk to anyone and you want to give them feedback, you have to sandwich your feedback.
And
Praise.
yeah.
You have to sandwich your feedback because you're going to start off positive and you're going to end positive. And then all the feedback is the meat in the middle. It's the tomatoes, it's the lettuce, it's the ham, it's the burger, whatever you want it to be, it's what's in the middle.
You might have been hungry that time when you put that sandwich over there.
I might have, you know. I was thinking about a burger, but I was like, I don't know, you know. So.
No, but that's the right way of putting it. I totally agree.
Totally right. That's like supervisor training 101.
Yes, yeah. So I, you know, I tell everyone this. I say, if you're talking to teachers, there's a big difference between saying you're doing it wrong, that's not how you do it, than saying, hey, listen, I love that you're addressing and telling Donnie to come to the board, but maybe next time you should have him stand next to you and, you know, help him out a little bit after he's standing there. You know, little things like that they won't get so offended if you don't challenge them and push them and tell them that they're doing everything wrong, like everything's negative. So then are they going to want to work with you in the future? No.
They automatically shut down.
And they get offended. A lot of them do. So, all right. So we're going to start off with giving a positive statement.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to identify the skills performed correctly. So remember the sandwich. We're going to start positive. Okay. And then we're going to identify the skills performed incorrectly. Next is explain how to improve that performance. So we just break it down for them. And then we encourage the individual to ask questions. Whenever I work with an RBT, I do this. I tell them what they do right. I tell them what they did wrong. And then I always end with, do you have any questions? Do you need anything from me? Are you sure? You can ask, don't worry, because if I make them feel comfortable, they're going to ask questions. All right, and then describe what should be done. So if they ask you a question, answer their question. Take the time to explain it to them, describe it to them. Maybe you can model it for them, but take that time to make them feel special and answer their questions and do whatever it is you need to do to get the point across. And then finally, what do you think is the last thing? Thinking about the sandwich.
You already talked about it.
Another
It's
positive.
another positive.
There you go. End with a positive statement. So there you go. There's my sandwich. You see the bun is up here, it's down here, and then all the meat is right here. You're
Well,
never going to forget the sandwich. Never.
Never, no. But I love the meat part too. So for me, all is good.
There you go. All right. So teaching a supervisee self-management is a form of good performance monitoring. True or false?
True.
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 True. When teaching a supervisee, you always want to promote self-management for generalization of the skills when the BCBA is not present. That's why it's most important. All right, last one. Treatment integrity, K5, which is 235 to page 235 to 237 on the Cooper book. Okay, what is treatment integrity? Treatment integrity is the extent to which the IV is applied exactly as planned and described, and no other unplanned variables are administered inadvertently along with the planned treatment. So what are the two ways to measure that? Think about it. When we do the FBA, what do we do? What do we look at?
The data, or what are we looking?
Indirect.
Indirect is one.
Direct.
Direct. Perfect. So direct methods and indirect methods. Perfect. So a simplified definition of treatment integrity is, because the other definition is straight from Cooper. This is basically, I broke this down. So it's the extent to which the intervention is implemented and written. So basically that's all it is. You're basically going into detail, you're looking at the information that's implemented and written to a certain degree. You're making it very detailed, okay? So how do you know you're providing quality services?
By seeing a positive change.
Okay, that's a good one. Anyone else?
When you're following the the treatment, the plan, yeah.
Yeah, the treatment plan.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right, so when you see significant results is one. When your client learn new skills, okay? And a very popular one is when the target behaviors reduce, right? How about when the stakeholders and the client is motivated? This is a huge one that I see all the time. I work with teachers often. And in the beginning, they think I'm the crazy RBT that doesn't know what she's talking about, okay? That there's no way this is gonna work, and they're very negative. And then at the end, they call me the magician, okay? They say, I don't know how you did this. I don't know how it worked, but I love you so much, and this is amazing, and I'm so happy, and they're so motivated, and you are their best friend. So it just changes their motivation from one end of the spectrum to the other. And this to me is most important because they're the ones that are going to maintain that behavior. Mm-hmm. So it's very important for them to be motivated. The same goes with parents. The same exact thing.
So as soon as you see them on board, you know it's a good sign.
It's a great sign. Wonderful. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
Awesome. All right, treatment integrity is when the DV is implemented and written properly.
False. DV
False.
is behavior.
It's the IV.
Wow, you guys know your stuff. Can't trick you.
Sandwich effect.
Yeah. I was angry too, so.
Right. So it's false. It says it is when the IV is implemented and written properly. I love that you guys saw exactly what I changed, because everything else is correct. It's just the IV.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so we're done. Thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe and communicate. If you guys need any tutoring, email us. Go on the website, abaexamacademy.com. But thank you for being part of my meeting. I enjoyed our time. We had lots of fun, right?
Yes, we did. Thank
Well,
you.
Like always.
All right, keep studying.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye. Good night, guys.
Thanks, Amy.
Bye.
Thank you, Damie.
You're welcome. Anytime.